Hello, pals. Do you want to hear about past lives and learn about the Akashic Records? Because that's what our guest, Carey Kaas, is all about. She does readings, she teaches, she works with deities, and she's just kind of a badass in general. You'll see. I'm Lauren Leon.
And I got to watch Lauren sweat this time.
We are a married couple learning how to develop our own intuition. And this is episode 48 of Clairvoyaging. Wayfeather Media presents Clairvoyaging.
What's up?
Hey. Frank's making fun of me for my throat clearing.
Constant.
So sorry.
We got mute buttons.
We do.
We've got the mute buttons. And she asks me how to use them, and then she doesn't use them, and I get a headphone full of a throat clear, and it is intense.
Welcome to Clairvoyaging. Almost 1 year in, and this is just what it looks like sometimes.
Sometimes
married couple fighting over stop making that annoying sound.
This is goals. Come on.
This is goals. Hashtag goals. Frank, guess what?
What?
New Patreon member. Welcome, Adrian.
Welcome, Adrian. Oh, okay. So, as you can tell, I loaded up the machine with new sound effects, and Lauren is already abusing them.
Yes. I said, where are those buttons? Which one is which? That one's kind of long, so maybe just cut that one out.
The jokes we have on this thing, that's going to come
pretty well used, especially for dad joke over here.
Yeah. I don't have to do my own womp womps anymore.
Hey, so welcome to Patreon. Welcome to the club.
Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you for joining. Patreon.com/clairvoyaging podcast. If you want to.
How much is it again?
$4.
Oh my God, that's so cheap.
Hey, also, guess what, Frank?
What?
Did you see our recent review from Boston Girl?
I did when you read it to me.
Yeah.
And my heart grew 3 sizes larger.
Our hearts just fluttered from sweet Boston Girl's
sweet,
kind
Boston
review.
Girl.
We want to reward you with a promo pack because reviews like that help us grow. So send us an email, clairvoyagingpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll send you a beautiful clairvoyaging hat and a magnet.
And a distance hug. Thank you.
And a distance hug and a high five. Well, with that, Carey Kaas was an amazing person. Just right off the bat, we were like, oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to be really cool. She has a lot of amazing things to say. And I learned a lot from her.
I learned a lot from Keri.
Yeah.
This was a good one.
Yeah. Roll the tape.
Roll the tape.
Keri, thanks for joining us. We are so thrilled that you are here to chat.
I'm so excited to talk to you guys. Thanks for having me.
You're just already like, I love it. I love this. Can you, I want to understand how you got to doing this work. Has it always been this way or what?
Great question. It's like the question everyone asks. Well, just my students also always like to know, how did you even start this? So I can assume that probably a lot of people of your listeners who are also listening to this understand that a lot of us are sensitive. And when we're kids, like I just felt things, picked up on things and didn't understand it. And I could always pick up on people and understand, be able to read them. And it served me well. It served me well socially and interactively, but I never really thought I'm a psychic or I'm a medium. And with mediumship especially, I think I probably blocked that out because I was afraid. And I could sense things all the time, but I just didn't want anything to do with it. And I think partially, I lived in the age when the movies like The Exorcist came out and a lot of that really the scary stuff with spirits. And so I think literally it wasn't a religious trauma. It was literally movie trauma.
Oh my gosh.
I'm convinced. And I'm so visual that I was like, oh my gosh, what if that is a thing? And I'm feeling it. So it started then, but then the sort of a defining moment was around the age of 19 when I left my house and moved out on my own to go to college, and I was living in an apartment. I had one evening, had a huge anxiety attack. And so it really shifted my timeline. I was planning on going to college and studying psychology and things like that, living in the San Francisco Bay Area, and really just my life became unearthed by the anxiety attack and how that affected me.
Wow.
So that started the journey of self-investigation, self-exploration. It wasn't so much about psychic or spiritual, it was more about self-understanding and systems of how do things happen to us like this? Like, how do we get to a point where we're having a panic attack? And I started going down the rabbit hole with that of like thoughts and how the system works. It was, I guess you could say it was much more of a left brain approach almost. But what that led me to is to try to be empowered and have my thoughts be empowered and my system be regulated. And so where I was living, there was a bevy of new age metaphysical experiences I could have because I was living in one of the most progressive parts of the country, which
right.
I know, you being from California. So I was able to go to these classes, and I started going to classes, and I started understanding like things like manifestation, the law of attraction, energy. And then it led me when I was 21 to a school. And that's where I studied. And that, because it started with energy for me, it wasn't about mediumship, it was energetic. So I went to a school to develop my psychic abilities and energy healing. And that was a version of what people know as the Berkeley Psychic Institute, which is all over the United States now. But that's the approach I took, because for me, it was much more about that. And so I studied, and I'm actually very grateful for that study because I really learned very good techniques and things of that nature. But I also started to begin to learn about healing myself in the process. So for me, it was much more about that than it was about, say, even as a medium, like connecting with loved ones in the spirit world. That wasn't my motive. I'm much more and even now it does reflect in my work. I'm much more concerned about you because you're the one in this incarnate. You're the one in the physical body. Your loved ones are here.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it. I want to connect you with them, but I'm also going, what's happening with you? So that's my orientation. And that's really how it started for me.
Wow. That's so interesting. Like, keeping it in like the present, like you are what is happening right now. That I love that.
Yeah. Because you're here. And that's my orientation. So maybe in some regards, like I know, like I have a lot of mediumship students and I train a lot of people and I do the work myself. And I love that, but it ends after that reading's over. And what we're really talking about is you're here processing and working on being, if you want to say, healing and enlightening and moving on your journey. And your loved ones are here to help you with that.
Yeah.
Right? It's the spirit world. So I'm concerned about the whole system, I think, of the person, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And that's great. So, and then like, when did you start realizing, so can you access, like you can see past lives and stuff? Like when did you start?
Yes, that's a very interesting point. So, and a lot of people say, well, what's the point of past lives? It's in the past, right? So I'll kind of illustrate it. When I was in my training, our mentor taught us about the Akashic Records. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I thought, how is this applicable? How does this work? That sounds like fun. I mean, where is it? First of all, right. What does it mean? And so this is how it works, right? I got it. I got the information. I knew it was a thing. And past lives we didn't do a lot of past life readings in that school. So it was just hanging around. What happened for me actually happened in 2019. Because remember, so my whole adult life, I've been a trained psychic. I didn't always do it professionally because that was before the internet. And so I did another 30-year dalliance in being a hairstylist, and I loved it, which I was going to say, connected.
The look you look great.
Thank you. That's a lot of years of doing hair.
You've got it down. Yeah.
Yeah, I got that down. The main. So, but what happened is because in that whole time I work with my guides. That's always been a signature of my work, always. So my spirit guide said to me in 2019, you need to go back into the Akashic Records. So I said, okay. So then a whole other chain of events happened. And remember, my baseline, I could say probably is on healing, right?
Yeah.
So if my baseline's on healing and my guides know that, and so they're like, go into the Akashic Records because this is the memory bank of the soul. And it's not just a memory, it's energetic. So, and then we'll have to go, I'm doing my Akashic 101 because I'm really now putting this into a digital format so people can do this themselves in a class. But so accessing it gives us an incredible experience for healing, transformation, knowledge, clarity, manifestation in a very profound way. And so that's why the Akashic Records and past lives are something you can access in the Akashic Records. Some people can do it other ways. It's not just some, like people who can do hypnosis, meditation. There's different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But if we look at ourselves at the explanation. So when we are in spirit form or in the soul level, we exist beyond time and space. We have that, as you know, that massive consciousness, right? So if it's beyond time and space, and we have a piece of that within us, when we access it, we have the ability to change things, heal, clear. And also the way my guides explain it to me is a past life is a link that's in present time. So when I do a past life reading, every time I do it, the intention is we're going to access a past life that is relevant to this moment today. So that means that channel of energy is helping you somehow integrate, connect, heal, and help you on your journey right now. And that's what makes it relevant to today. So that's why it's not just like a party trick that I can tell you that you lived in the 1700s and you wore this long skirt and your family was this. It's how your system works. There's a larger part of that my guides showed me, which is a little bit more. I'll really try to make it concise. But one of the things when you work in the Akashic Records is you have access to working with different guides. Everybody does. Archangels, deities, ascended masters, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in the Akashic Records, I actually had this interaction with one of the primary archangels known as Archangel Raphael. Archangel Raphael is the angel of healing, just broadly. He's really genderless, by the way. He's not a gender, but and so what he said to me, which was profound, and I think it was good that it happened at this point in my life because I've been doing the work for so long. He said, right now in humanity, people are clearing out so much karmic baggage from past lives. They need more room in their auras to bring through their consciousness. Does that make sense? So so I said, oh, this makes sense to me. This is like clearing a chakra.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the purpose of why I do all the work now when I'm reading and doing those works is because, and I do it like literally, 10 a week, where people come to me, they say, I want to look at my Akashic Records and my past life. And I can see systemically, it's almost like that in the Akashic Records, you're accessing your memory bank. And so we're running on some kind of a program, even in this life, where we've had lessons, probably we've repeated on multiple lifetimes. So we're running on that program, right? Now, if we want to make more room in our vessel for our higher knowing, we need to remove those, just like removing an old swimsuit that doesn't fit you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So he said to me, you're going to be going in and helping people understanding where that computer program is located in their energy field, and it's going to be connected to other lifetimes. You're going to do an energy healing. They're going to understand it. And then you're going to move on so they have more spaciousness in their energy to access their own knowledge and their soul blueprint for this lifetime. So I guess that's the best answer I have for the question. That's what I do.
Just a little thing.
Just a little. And I was like, when I say it, I try to bring it down to like something that sounds like something that you just went to Starbucks and got a latte. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I would have been ready for this 30 years ago to do the work I'm doing, to hold space for people and teach people how to do this.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Well, I mean,
so that's really, that's it. It's just, you got to make more room in your vessel. That's it for today. You don't want to be running on the old generational stuff. Like it's also very connected to like, we do a lot of ancestral clearing too in my works that I do with my students and my clients. So And that's a whole nother beautiful part of it too, because we can, and it's very tangible too, because people say people can connect it to something and validate it. That's what's important. I'm an evidential, both an energy worker, but also medium. So they can really validate, yes, I've had that pattern my entire life, or yes, I have felt that thing my entire life, or I've had that thing you're mentioning, which is very tangible, probably physical and mental, debilitation on some level for them. So it's quite profound. And, but yet I try to make it very like something to integrate it into today. That's very important to me. It's like most important moment is right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. This is fine.
I kind of
my hands are sweating for some reason.
Yeah, I'm sweating too. Sweating too. Yeah. My shoulders are. Here we go. Lauren's like, and here comes the experiential learning, as we say. Experiential. Yes.
I love that you're the one sweating for once instead of me.
I know.
Yay.
I feel amazing.
Congratulations, Frank.
Congratulations. You're winning.
I have so many questions.
Yes. Please feel free. Ask me anything.
I'm already having such a great time, so go.
I know.
Yay.
Okay.
Good.
Don't forget to talk into your microphone.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So what?
Yeah. How do you do it?
Goodbye. I will see you later. Okay. How does this look to you, or is it a feeling? Can you see things when you
Great
access?
Question. Well, I'll definitely break all that down.
Okay.
So, I like to go sort of in linear time, so it's
great,
as tangible as possible. So, the way it works for me is I just have such an intimacy and a trust with spirit, and also to even get me to the point where I'd meditate to do that. So that's the first layer. It's very much I very clairaudient, but I also clairsentient, get a feeling that I really know is the signature of truth and clarity. So and I can hear them say, go into the records. Like I hear it internally. I guess we would call that a subjective clairaudience. So that's within.
Right.
You've probably some of the mediums who teach that.
Yeah.
So because I just trust my guides, it's such like it's a trust fall. I don't even think twice about. I don't even go, I wonder if I don't have that. Because they broke me when I was so young. You see what I'm saying?
Right. They've been training you forever. Yeah.
They have been, and there's a lot of that. And I think I needed that. But so they give me that sense. So when I go into the records, what happens for me right now is that there's steps to involve with it as well. But I go in and I'm really clairvoyant. So I get a lot of images and pictures that flash up and kind of come in gently. But then I have such a deep knowing of what is happening. And because I've done, I don't know how many readings I've done in my lifetime. That's a big number. So when I'll say along the way, I'll give them what I'm seeing, but I always check in. Does this make sense to you? Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I mean, I will say it happens every time, like 99.9% of the time. And because I've built that spiritual musculature so strongly with my clients, with my work and everything, if I'm ever slightly off, so the knowing is so deep in me, so it's clear on it. And so then so it's a working knowledge. It just feels like it's a part of me, like it would be if you learn how to make the best peanut butter and jelly sandwich 1,000 times and you just don't have to think about it. It's just what comes in. So when I get the yes again, because I do almost always get the yes, I just trust it. But then if you say, I'm not sure, then I say, okay, let me clarify. Is this making sense how I'm saying it, or does this make sense? And then I go in. So it's deeply like that. And then I just hear it, know it, feel it, sense it. It's kind of all the clairs mixed into a big batch. But I definitely get a lot of visuals. Like if I'm trying to think of but it's a bit, it starts me. Like if I get, like I'm going back to a past life and I can see the words like I can see Switzerland, and then I can see a location like I'm going to a map. And then I'll see like maybe a woman who's dressed a certain way, and then a cow. And then I just know the story.
Wow.
And it's really based in, and the thing is, I know that some people like go, how can you edify a past life? And it's not so much about, and there's so much evidence, even with like, I get dates. Sometimes I get names, I get heritage. Not always. I don't want to say that's a part of it, but it helps to edify the work. And I think that's the important part for the client and for the people watching me do it is they go, wow, this is really, how did she know about the Nova Scotia? And then how did she know? That was what I have so many stories. How did she know about the cult that moved from England in the 1600s to Nova Scotia? And then I have my moderators going fact checking it. That shit is so, it flies well. We don't do it all the time. It's just, I do too many of those, but we've done so many of those. And it's mainly, it's not so much as the fact that I can do this well. I don't care about that. I want to know that the client in their memory knows, yes, that's real for me.
Right.
And that makes
Wait, your moderators, like, you mean, like if you're doing a live, like a live?
TikTok,
okay.
I'm on TikTok. Yeah. Mostly on TikTok but then I do a lot, of course, private readings as well. And then I teach it as well. So it's mainly because people are being shown this as an option for healing. And I think people are interested in that.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Have you had people, like, given someone a date and then they go back and they like do a deep dive and then come back and be like, this
I've
resonated.
Had a few
I
of those.
found this person or whatever. Yeah.
We haven't got the person as much, but I know there are other people that have done that.
Yeah.
And I think because sometimes the ones I get, and it's very interesting because there'll be batches of people and there'll be time. I'll be going through like the 1600s for like, I don't know, all these readings. That's why I have to think. And then all of a sudden I'll be back even further. So it's hard to grasp that.
Right.
It's more to do with people that reincarnate in their own family lines that I've been able to get some interesting facts.
Oh,
I have two little stories if you want me to share those.
Absolutely. Yes.
So one of them, which was so awesome, was this woman I was just telling you. I can't remember the year because it was probably 1700s, maybe. I think it was 1700s. But I said, okay, I see you as a female and you're probably about 17, 18 when I'm getting it in this moment. And I definitely see you on the Swiss border with Germany, and you were definitely, your family owned, dairy cows, and I can see you working that. And then the lesson is the main part. Well, that was when I was doing a live reading on TikTok. She came back an hour later and she said, I just want to let you know, my family actually is from that area in Switzerland and we were dairy farmers. I was like, okay, I wasn't even expecting that.
That's cool.
I mean, I've had that happen quite a few times.
Yeah.
So do we incarnate in our own family lines? Sometimes, but it depends on the lesson. Another one that was interesting, I thought, was a woman, and it was an Irish life. And so we went to that live. I can't remember. I think I said, okay, this is the name of the county. This was your last name, female, this and this and that. She said, my family is from, I think it was maybe in Waterford or something. And my family line is from there. That is the county we're from. And so I think spirit does that because their spirit's trying to edify. This is real.
Yeah.
It's not so much of like, the wows and the that's interesting. It's mainly saying spirit is real. You are an infinite being. I don't even know all of it because it's the vastness of our, I can't possibly know.
Yeah. Right.
And the fact that I can tap into this and make something relevant for you in this moment that helps you is really my goal, but it's certainly very interesting. There's been so many times I should really document them, but I'm too busy. So I don't have to.
You need someone to just follow you around.
Yeah,
and like take notes.
Hey, here's another one.
Yeah.
Take a note. Come back to me when
come back. Let me know.
Do your research.
You remind me of that? I don't remember so many of the things I do, and so it is what it is, I guess. Right?
Which is so amazing because you really are affecting a lot of people with what you're doing, and I mean, I'm sure to you, it's like reading a book or something. And then to them, it's like, oh my God, this information was so powerful. It's so cool. That is so cool.
I hope so.
Let me back up a little bit. Just in case we have any new listeners or anything. Can you give me your definition of the Akashic Records?
Absolutely. So the Akashic Records is a two-part. It's a vibrational history of every single moment our soul has ever lived. So it's like the Google memory bank. energetically of everything that your soul has ever experienced, and also between lifetimes. And so as we learn to access it, because when we're in more of a calmer brainwave state, we can access all parts of our soul's history and information. And also it is where it's sort of like the realm of the higher self as well, I like to say, and higher guides. Because if we think about it, that access, that all of that is energy. So it has to be stored somewhere. And people are thinking visually, is it somewhere else? No, it's actually all around you. It's just, how do we access it? We access it by relaxing our nervous system, opening up our awareness, learning to calm the mind in a way, and then we can literally do a few steps and access it. It's not difficult. So it's just a matter, it's as if you went to, the best university, like you went to Oxford and you want to study with that, a specialist in like archaeology or something. And you went into that classroom and already you could just feel that the energy of that knowledge. It is literally like that. And I think that's why they call it a library, because it's easier for the human brain to relate to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it has, and that's why often when people sort of go in there, I'm just going to go in there like Wild Wild West and try it out. Usually they're not successful because there are some sort of protocols to make it successful for you, to make it an experience that would be something where you could actually glean information. And it's not that many steps, but there are steps involved. And even people I know that are mediums are like, well, I went in one time and they threw me out. I said, there are guardians there, and you can't just go into anyone's information bank.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, like, I always imagine the Akashic Records as being like the Google for the other side. And you can't say, I'm going to go look at Google today. Like, there is no Google, but if you enter a search, you'll find what you're looking for.
What you just said is so key.
I'm so good.
You got it. You tapped into it because and that's a big part of it. It's kind of like the questions. So in the course I have that I teach, I actually have curated, I want to say 150 questions that are probably going to give you some really good insight into different areas of your life. Yeah. Oh. So it's like, because I'm very much I like tangible results. I want people to use this information.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, let's say you're wanting to work on, connecting better with your child. How can I connect better and understand my child? Right? Mm-hmm. How can I understand how to support my child? How can I understand how to enhance their sense of self-love? That's real information.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's something. And when you're in your busy mind, and this is just like anything in your consciousness, we're like, well, I'm going to see what other parents are doing. Let me look it up. And then you're coming up with some half-assed thing. But what's happening when you tap into Akash, you're getting your guidance, not someone else's. Because it's curated just for you, because it's your higher awareness, if that makes sense. And that's why it's such a useful tool, because you're coming into alignment. Even for me, when I go, pretty much all the things that my big life decisions, I'm going to my guides and my Akashic Records, because my human brain, even though it has a good sense of a lot of things, I'm doing this work. It gives me the most expansive view of and also shows me my shortcomings. So it's just, if you're able to tap in regularly, and that's why I say I want to demystify it. So it's actually not as difficult to do, but you do have to curate it. You have to have a sense of some steps involved. Just like if you ever enter into, any kind of structure, and this is definitely like, I'm not suggesting in any way any kind of religious thing, but when you go into a church, you don't just bust in and like grab and go on the altar. Woo! You go in, you have to take your shoes off. You got to maybe, you have to sit down, you wait for something to happen, and then you have an experience. There's steps involved. And this is just what creates order in the universe. That's why it's there.
Sure.
It's not meant to be. Yeah. So that's kind of how I look at it. You're dealing with a higher consciousness that has, and where you can look at any And that's why I like it so much. Like you could look at the origin of something you have that really bothers you. So let's say you have an issue with like one of my dear friends, she's terribly afraid of like balloons popping and, and champagne bottles. That's a real thing.
Oh, yeah. No, I laugh because I have issues. Yeah, go on.
You do? Okay,
yeah.
All right. Well,
I hate it.
That could have been a thing.
Like when my kids are playing with balloons, I'm like, no. Like go someplace else.
Yeah.
I can't deal with it.
It's real.
Yeah.
So sometimes when we go into our psychology, sometimes we can say, well, it's my nervous system, or it could be connected to this moment in my life this time, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's created to something even further back. And so if you can go in and say, okay, can you show me how can I heal this thing with balloons that minute? And you can go back and look at the energy of it. And then you can do energy work on it, which is something, which is actually, you could just do Reiki on it. And you're getting it at the origin. Because it's systems, because if you're a soul, right, which we've agreed upon, and energy flows to you and through you in your energy body, in your aura and your chakras and your consciousness, it's going to plug into you, even if you don't know where it originated from, and it's going to affect you. Not every life is going to do this. That would be too much. But there are certain lessons that you've come here to learn, to overcome. And so when you go in, you're able to work with it. So it's actually becomes very efficient once you start to learn, and working with the book helps a lot. Working with questions rather.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask another kind of basic thing. Can I assume that I'm trying to build a very simple model for myself.
Yes. That's good. I'm for it. I'm for the simple. I want it to be easy.
Sweet. So can we assume that like all of our past lives have been kind of like a data dump into our Akashic records for our soul?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
So then that's some of where our current, like how much of that old programming have we inherited?
That's very interesting. And so I don't know if I know the entirety of that answer. I wish I did, but what I understand is that you're coming in on a soul contract level into this life to overcome certain things. So it would be overwhelming to your nervous system, your body, mind, soul to have to deal with every issue you ever had.
Sure.
I think there's somehow they believe they must be curated for this lifetime and to make sure that you can get your goals for this lifetime in this moment, if that makes sense. That's the ease of what I come into. But I also believe you also curated your astrological, obviously, that design and your human design. And so you're working with all that consciousness very efficiently in order to overcome certain things, if that makes sense.
Are you saying there are no mistakes here?
Maybe. Oh my God.
No mistakes aside from the ones that we're making.
Okay. Exactly. Every day, all day long. Yeah. That's my understanding. And that's, I think, why I find the value in connecting, when I do work with my students and we work and clients on clearing past lives that are coming up for them so they can heal and grow and move forward on their journey of life, whatever that is for them, which could be very mundane. It's just a matter of, we all want to feel better. We all want to feel clear. We all want to feel connected to our intuition and living in harmony, in our consciousness and our bodies.
So it's possible that like a lot of the programming is beneficial to our current contract for this life, but there is some junk that is just we don't need at this point.
Yeah, there's absolutely, and that could be, and so that goes into even a bigger thing of like consciousness and other alternative timelines and things that get very interstellarish.
Yeah,
and I think that there are those experiences hanging around.
Yeah,
but good thing is spirit is so intelligent, knows that we would be so ineffective if we had to deal with all that. We'd be sitting there clearing karma from the time we got up in the morning till the time we go to bed. And so it's just, you're given what you could tolerate at this moment for your awareness.
Yeah.
And we work a lot with my students on after we do this very multi-dimensional work with my students, we come back into the moment. And I say, you're going to do something completely mundane and you just drink water and don't, be in this moment. That's it.
That's just to reground yourself.
Yeah,
absolutely. Every day, because and my students do great with that. I think because I'm very, actually, even though we're having these conversations, I'm a super down to earth person.
Yeah.
So in everything else, like if you knew me in my personal life, I have a very mundane life with like family and friends and people that it's reflected in my environment. So I think I believe in that. It's been amazing balance.
That makes sense to need to like have that.
Yeah.
Balance.
Yeah.
Can we talk about soul contracts for a second?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. Cause
let's get a definition, because I don't think we've officially talked about this on the show.
We haven't. And I just hear everybody talk about soul contracts all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, one, how do you know that that's a thing? Two, how do we sign them? I have so many.
I know so many questions. And I actually don't even like the word contract. I wish there was another definition, but it's what we've all decided like it is.
Agreement or something. Yeah.
Yeah. The intent, I say intention. That's always my favorite word with my clients. Instead of saying goals, I say intentions, because it doesn't trigger them.
Yeah. Right.
Contracts, goals feels burdensome, right? Like, oh.
Yeah.
So,
sign an NDA.
Exactly. What's up with that?
Yeah.
So this is just my understanding in this moment. Okay. So, and what I think a lot of people probably agree upon. I think for the efficiency of us understanding that as divine beings, we want to learn lessons and have experiences. And so, what I believe we're doing when we're setting that up, we're really setting up terms. And how do my experience has been, how do I know this? Because in my work, I've done work connecting, because I also do past life regression and I've done a lot myself. So we go into the in-between space where before we incarnate in that with consciousness, with our higher self, and we see self at that moment making agreements for this lifetime about what we want to experience. So, and like, I want to grow up in, the Bay Area in this timeline. I want to have like, this is my family, who's going to be my family. These will be like the general group of my friends ish, the close ones, because we've reincarnated together a bunch of times. I'm going to be working on these types of lessons. Right. And then I'm going to be overcoming. Now I almost call that like a loose outline. Right. That's what I believe we're doing. And then I believe within that we have free will, of course, because we're the ones who made the agreement in the first place. No one else made that for us, because we sort of said, here's my list of stuff so I can get where I want to be in at the end of this lifetime. So I'm learning this thing, right? About like, say, compassion or self-love or communication or expression or relationships, learning about loss, learning about recovery. And so we have to have terms, or we're just floating around, in this life. I'm going to be gone. I don't care about you. I'm going wherever, and also I will say in lifetimes, we've been many roles. We're not, it's the goal. Is the goal really to just be like a good person, or is the goal to like learn?
Right.
So then we have a whole nother conversation, which is about that, which is, the paradigms of like, or the contrast of like paradoxes in this work, the opposites, of how we're learning when we're on here in the first place, when we're here. So that's what I believe soul contracts are, because we need a framework to work from and have some, and there's other people involved. So we need to, like, you two meeting each other, you with your children, you with friends, core people, your family, your community. That's all things you sort of said, okay, we're going to land here. We're going to probably meet each other here, and we're going to have this happen, more or less. I look at it like overtures. It's almost like the main meal, not the entree or the dessert.
Look, I just want to see what you think about this. Like,
sure.
You had a friend die pretty in the last like 2 months. And there was like, oh, this happened at the hospital, and there was a conversation of like, was this that person's soul contract?
I see.
Would it have happened had it not been? Would it have happened anyway if the doctors hadn't have sent him home early, or blah blah blah? Like, was that going to happen no matter what?
Exactly. That's a really sensitive question. I'm so sorry about your friend too.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, so I say this humbly from just my experience as a medium, but also doing this work. So my understanding is when we speak to those who've crossed over and we talk to them, they say, this was what I had planned, and who would ever decide that, right? And I understand the need to, like, especially us, we're like, what? Well, if we had done it differently, or if this had happened differently. But at the end, I really believe that that was their intention. And remember, so when we scale ourselves back from all of the intensity of living and being emotional in our lives and our connections and our relationships, we as souls aren't as connected to what things exactly happen. We are here to learn and grow, and then in turn support our loved ones when we're on the other side here. So my sense is, based upon my experience as a medium, that it would have happened anyway. You know what I mean? And I know that, like, when I've had people pass, like very close members of my family pass, there were always people in the family that had done, well, if they had done this differently. And I'm saying, I want to say that too, but it's not that's not what the spirits are telling me.
That's saying, what we talk about, where I'm like, if that's what happened, if they signed a contract, like that's what they set themselves up for. Like my brother died when he was 26.
Yes, I know. I remember. I heard that. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, thank you. But and there is, like, people have like the human side of like guilt and the what ifs, and if only this had happened, and if only blah, blah, blah. And I don't know if it just makes me feel better, but sometimes I'm like, when we talk about it, I'm like, if that's what we're all doing, signing these contracts before we come here, then that was always going to be the situation.
It was always going to be. I know. And it's so shocking. So in my family 2-3 years ago, you lose track of it, don't you, when you lose them?
Yeah.
But I had my sister, brother-in-law, and niece were killed in a car accident.
Oh my God.
And my nephew was left. And
I'm so sorry.
I must say, I know. And we all know, all three of us, we know that. And when we suffer, and the timing of that, was just so pivotal. But I didn't ever once have a moment where I thought this could have been prevented. I didn't know that, but I knew that, because why did I know that? Not because I know that I can feel them from the spirit world.
Right.
Imagine my niece is so bright, so brilliant, 13, but then I kind of get it, because she lived, like, she came into this world so evolved for her entire existence, like 14 years old, so wise, and she embodied what she came here to do. And then my sister and my brother-in-law, it just, and now my nephew is like he's just started college at Oberlin doing jazz drumming. He survived that. It's just, how can you even say, because it's going to affect his story and who he touches in this brilliant, his level of compassion, his level of how he has faith, that we can't, I don't even think any of us can figure all those pieces out, even though it's horrible for us, but for them, it's a piece of a puzzle of a greater thing. I don't even think, which is so.
And then you also think about your nephew, and like, he chose that life. There was something he needed to learn.
It's true.
Which, when you think of people who like have this insane loss or this tragedy and grief, like, you're like, why would they choose that? But like the bigger puzzle.
If we scale back, and I understand that, and we would never, like, when someone's grieving, we don't say, well, they chose that, No. We can't even, and we all know, because we've all lost someone primary, we all know we would never say that.
Yeah.
Because that's not appropriate for the moment. And when they're grieving, you're holding space for
Oh my gosh.
grief.
Yeah.
And just being there. But at the same time, yes, intrinsically. And let me just tell you I think this might be an interesting perspective, because from a mediumship perspective, I was like, because my sister, if you knew her, she was such a helicopter parent. I mean, like, she was the one who was always like a little nervous about, oh my God, do they have everything they need? Like, always worried, a little bit neurotic. And, she was a little bit like double checking, making sure everything. So when she passed away, I was like, and her whole vision of what she would want for her family just exploded. And so I was like, okay, wait a sec. How does that work? How I'm connecting with my sister I knew as this person who was a little neurotic, adored her, and didn't have the same vision I do about spirit. So it took me 2 months before I connected with her in the spirit world because I was obviously devastated.
Yeah.
And I knew she wasn't ready. But then honestly, and I said to her, and when she came, I knew it was her because she showed me her foot with her signature tattoo on her foot.
Oh my God.
And I felt her energy and I said, Jill, like, what do I do? How can I help Ryan? Should we, because I was thinking, what are we going to do with Ryan? That's my nephew. And she was like, it's going to be okay. I was like, and for everything I know, if I hadn't had all my mediumship evidential training, I would have not known that. But I was like, fuck, it is going to be okay.
Wow.
It is going to be okay.
Oh my
and
God.
and every time I've gone in there and said, what do we do about Ryan? She's like, it's going to be okay. And I was like, I don't even know. But it was still Jill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm feeling that.
I know.
Oh,
Yeah,
here she
I
comes.
know.
Here it comes.
That's good. That's
I'm
good.
sorry.
No, don't
I'm
apologize.
I'm sorry for your. I'm feeling your.
Yeah,
your
I'm
stuff.
sorry for you guys. It's just
Sorry.
so profound. I think it's interesting because now my Ryan, it's so funny because he follows me on Instagram, and so and he's always been a kid who was, I think my sister raised him very open-minded, super curious. My sister's a therapist, and they're very always open and intimate with each other, and so I always left it with him that when I speak about her as if she's here. So he knows that I'm like, she loves you so much. And whatever she's feeling and also I was very close to my brother-in-law. And I said, oh my gosh, I feel your dad. He's hilarious. And he's like, I know, he's hilarious. And so, we're animating them because they're animistic and they are here.
Yeah.
And so now Ryan, being 18, 19, and he's watching me and he's now texting me. So talk to me about this mediumship thing.
My God.
Doing? And he's super open. So
Yeah.
I think is there something? I don't know, but I feel like somehow this kid is going to do some things that I want to see because he's so special.
That's
so
cool.
He's like sick drummer. Like he's so sick.
That's awesome.
He's like a jazz, rips. Since he was a kid. And he says, I feel my mom when I'm drumming. And it's just, can we make sense of all that? I don't know, but it's beautiful.
He's got a hell of an origin story, whatever he's going to get up to.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Right. So it's
wow.
Lauren's stepbrother talked to us about a dream that he had recently where and their brother Ian was talking to him about how different time is on the other side, and
in my brother Josh's dream he died and then saw our brother Ian waiting for him, and
Ian was telling him it doesn't matter, it's all good, don't worry about it so much. And it's funny because when we're talking about soul contracts, it really seems like it's the reason why this life is so confusing for us is because we're in the details. We're always lost in the weeds.
Yeah.
And
brilliant. Exactly.
And it's and it also feels like if we walked into this life with with just a broad outline and we get to fill it out, this is also a lot of the reason why a soul contract and free will can exist in the same space, because to a certain extent, in between the lines, the sub bullet points of this outline, we can still make this as difficult or as easy as we want to.
100%.
Yeah.
And we have a choice whether to turn right or left. And we have to, that's why I feel like they're telling us it's a loose, how we express it is we have that free reign. Cause it's if you were so rigid in details of something, there'd be no creativity, and you're a divine being connected to this creator. You're not separate. So you have to have divine consciousness to be able to morph with how things evolve around you, because and I feel like that's we have, like I said, micro, macro, because we have the consciousness of all these other people that have created these destinies around us. So we kind of have to be we're just in the soup of it all, kind of figuring it out. I think it's a creative venture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Let me just.
She's going to honk real quick.
Please feel free to.
All right. Sorry.
We're back.
Apologize.
A little less mucus, a few more questions.
Trying to de-red my face too. I feel things so intensely sometimes.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I have to shut off some part of me that's I just go into someone's feelings, I was thinking about your nephew so much that I was like,
yes.
Stop.
And yes, I know. You're hang on, I'm in there with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Almost you can say to your spirit guides, okay, I want to, it's like, let's turn down the Have you heard this before? So let's turn the volume down of that experience so I can be here with it. So I'm with her, but I'm not with her.
Yeah.
So just imagine it's like a little
I like
dial.
that.
Just a little dial. It's easy. Turn it down just a little.
Does that sound familiar, Lauren?
Did you hear this before? I'm imagining.
I always tell Lauren, turn it down just a little bit. Not
you see?
Not in terms of crying, but just in terms of like taking on other people's emotions and stuff.
Yeah, that's helpful. And you can ask your guides to help you. They can definitely help you with that.
Come on,
guys.
Turn it down.
Let's just like turn it down.
Yeah. I say just this like kind of mantra where to just kind of give myself a little extra bubble. I say like, these are not my emotions.
Right.
Sometimes just in certain settings where I'm like, ooh, I was like with those people and I'm just like in there with them and I'm like now carrying it and wearing it. So
the Reiki will help you with that.
I know. That. Yeah. Yeah. I need to.
The last favorite tip, because I'm always teaching, but is I like the frequency of a gold aura because it's a higher vibration, but it's also still like where you're with the people with you. So it kind of has this nice, like, I'm here, I'm holding space, I honor you, but it also you're kind of shifting into more of a spiritual host.
That's beautiful.
Try that. Just see if that works for you. Okay. Gold and then the turning the down. Let me know, know, because then listen, it's not easy. It's a journey to even learn how to navigate because you're holding space for people and yourself. And so that's, it's an adjustment.
There's some things that I'm like, oh, I would never be able to do certain jobs because I'm just like, that's too. I would just be taking it on.
Yeah. 100%. 100% makes sense.
Thank you. Thank you for those little tips.
Are there just common lessons that so many people have that you've seen in your journey?
That's a great question. I have never been asked that. So I'll go based upon demographics, if that's easy, because I look at the clients I work with.
Sure.
And I say, depending on age. So because I work with like 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s women, and a lot of women, and some men as well. I would say one of the biggest things are people learning to trust themselves and their intuition.
Yeah.
And that,
oh my God.
That's just like huge.
That is huge.
Because there's so many things that cut that off.
I mean, to that point, like what I was saying earlier about getting lost in the details, like for me, I get lost in the details and I start doubting my own intuition.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sure that's a common theme.
It's so common. It's so rudimentary and so important. And then how we're juggling. And because of that, then we're juggling all these other things that maybe we wouldn't be in alignment with if we had listened to our intuition.
Right.
So that part I think is through. I also think a lot of people have this thing. If you're a female, you've given away a lot of your energy to other people.
Yeah.
That's a theme. And if you identify as, I would say, let's say a cis woman, and then if you're a cis male, you're like taking on the whole thing for your family or overburdened. So we've got those two things of like, in this right now, that's what we're dealing with. If you decide, okay, I'm going to want to be in a relationship, I'm going to, have a family, do a career, then right away, the paradigm is I'm overextended. I'm not listening. And I wonder if we'd started in the very beginning with self-care and listening to ourselves, so we wouldn't have overburdened ourselves. And we would probably from the beginning been more aligned to a career we loved. And then the timing of then when we had a child might have changed. And then the kind of person we connected with would have been maybe different. So I feel like that's what we're really opening up to in different stages. That's just rudimentary 101, how we make life choices.
Wow.
This is what we're,
that's so relatable.
Yeah,
so relatable.
I feel like that's
so
just
relatable. So real.
So many people like
absolutely
diving into something they don't want to do, being in the wrong relationship. I mean, I had both of those things.
It was very cool.
I did plenty of times.
Still do.
Yeah, it looks like I am in the wrong relationship.
Currently doing the wrong thing.
So here's a follow-up on that then, though, because it seems like there is, how do I say this? the more in the shit we get, the more intense the lesson. And like how much of the discomfort is necessary, or if we were just like completely open and trust our intuitive authenticity, I should say, to steer our lives. Like, can we just be easy breezy and everything's good? I got this lesson.
I think it depends on the lifetime, and I think it depends on the lesson. And because if like I look at my clients and I think about the span of people I deal with, and some people come in and they have they have a lot of trauma, and that trauma follows them a long time. And to get out of that, it's self, it's relationship, it's money, it's just living in a level that's so strained with such a high level of that.
Yeah, so playing the classics.
It's just a classic. And I feel we've already in some incarnations we've all done that, depending on what we were learning. And then you have the people that are more mid, that are sort of, I overcame it, at this age, and then I moved to it. Now, let's just talk about time frame. The kids that are incarnating now, anyone like in our family included in our atmosphere, child-wise, are so much more evolved than even more. And I think that is time, that's evolution. Yeah. But that's also spiritual. Like I think about if, for example, even my own children or their friends and how much more evolved they are as humans, and that they just are not going to go through the same lessons because they have probably more things they want to accomplish and do and ways they want to be on this planet. So I feel like they want to experience more, and they don't want to be off track as long as many of us have. You know what I'm saying?
I have been told that I am at risk of making a 10-month lesson a 10-year lesson. So yes, I do know what you're saying. Also, like, it's such an important like part of our thing, Lauren and I specifically, of trying to make sure that our kids in particular have as much of a fresh start and a launch pad for their own authenticity and their natural ways of being. And we're just trying to we're not trying to guide them as much as we're following their guidance, because
that's amazing parenting. I mean, right there, that's a whole podcast.
Oh, I do a bunch of really bad shit too. That's fine. Don't say that.
Oh, I've done my share of trauma. You ask my kids. They have a couple divining moments of trauma that they're currently overcoming. Thank goodness they talked to me about it. So we're trying to work.
That's great.
There was the time when I was trying to push my Capricorn daughter to do something until she was in 8th grade. And I realized, why am I trying to tell her what to do?
We have a Capricorn daughter.
We've got a Cappy.
You do?
And we are both Sagittarius. So she'll be like, she's 6.5. She'll be like, we got it. I was trying to leave one day I was going to like a hangout, like at a party. And she's like, Mom, you have to go.
Yeah.
Oh.
She just filed our taxes
like
too.
Directive. That sounds like my daughter. Yeah. Exactly. She's like, exactly. But so I kind of feel like it's depending on age, it's circumstances. It's like there's so much going on this planet, how things are shifting.
Yeah.
With what people want to learn when they incarnate, and I do believe in that. So I tend to stay away from all that kind of 5D and the stuff that gets really. But I have to give we are in the time of Aquarius. I just have to say it. We are evolving,
So
in some ways,
is there an exponential growth between like how the kids are evolving now versus how they used to in former generations? Like
interesting.
What's the spiritual gap?
That's a very interesting. I've never considered it in those terms. What I consider it more is that we're coming into the circumstances that we're in.
Sure.
And there's a lot of things at play, micro, macro, as I was saying.
Yeah, there are.
And so I just feel like things are speeding up here now. So what we're closer to is maybe living more consciously. Mm-hmm. I think that's what we're closer, as opposed to the Piscean era, like, 2000 years ago. I think there was, way less, obviously we were coming to this place of like, people have more freedoms. There's more there's such a discrepancy because there's so much terrible stuff going on. But at the same time, there's so much of this undercurrent of people being more awake.
Yeah, it does seem that way.
Even our parents, if you live like in some of these areas where like we live on, the West Coast, which historically has been much more of a forward thinking place. People are going to be even parenting different. They're going to be communicating differently with their children. They're going to be not living in these ways of much as keeping kids down and telling them what to do quite as much.
Yeah.
Right. So I do believe that, I do believe we are evolving. I really do. That's my sense, and that's why there's so much of this. Also, the dying of the patriarch, that's a whole nother conversation. But anyway, the dying of the patriarchy that's going down with a fight.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we see that all over the world, obviously. And but I do believe in the genesis of this like uprising of the divine feminine. That's a whole thing I have on a sub thing.
Hell yeah.
Another topic. Yeah.
Well, I mean, just on a,
that's a big,
to dip my toe, it does feel like the world as a whole is very, maybe I don't know, everyone dipped into this like reemergence of authoritarianism just for a hot second. It feels like a death rattle just a little bit because it's not going to work after this anymore.
It's just archaic. It's outdated. The paradigm, the flow does not work. Nothing about it works. And it's just that so many groups of people are meant to be opposers of that. So why is that? So we can sharpen ourselves and sharpen our tool, and we stand more in our Lilith energy of like, hey, we ain't putting up with any of that. Hey,
come on.
That's a sub part of my work, which is emerging even more, which is I have a program called the Goddess Rising, that's a whole nother story. Come on for another time.
Okay.
Just because we haven't touched on this either, but I have done a little bit of research. Can you give to describe a little bit of what you just said? Can you give just the quickest version of what Lilith energy would be exactly?
Yes. So, okay. And this is obviously a couple things. We know that Lilith historically was seen even in the Bible. They demonized her as being someone who fought against Adam. There's a paradigm. There's a myth for you that a divine feminine said, no, you will not dominate me or tell me what to do. And then she was expelled. So that's the mythos. A lot of people work with her very animistically as a deity, myself included. I love it. I'm definitely work with deities, but she's really a force of nature. She's a primordial energy that we are now, why we say the divine feminine's rising, is all of these energies that were laid dormant because of the consciousness on this planet and all the things we agreed to, that we were going to have this toxic male dominance and the patriarchy. We were keeping that down. So literally those energies and those forces, some people deal with them more animistically, like Lilith herself, the deity, are animating us. They are informing us. They're helping us awake up so that we're like, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Like that. So that is literally what started happening in the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, and so on, which is like, I am not listening to you anymore.
Yeah.
So she's a force of, she's so happy we're talking about this, by the way. So, because I've been talking about Lilith with clients, that's another story.
That's fun.
She's like, yes, I am not going to be, no one is going to, it's a force. It's an energetic force on this planet. So, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing I always love talking about. But yes, that's what she is to me. And
Lilith.
And I'll throw out my little bit.
Yeah.
Anything that's feminine and anything that's rebellious, that's my thing. I'm listening to a lot of female led punk rock right now, and it's like my favorite thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so awesome.
Listeners, go read about Lilith. She's like the first badass, and also don't believe everything you read though, because there's a lot of she's been demonized for no reason.
Yeah, she's been demonized terribly. That's such a huge passion for me. Yes, but anyway,
that's very fun.
Another time. That's a 4-hour conversation.
Oh, I know.
Love it.
Would you be able to answer a question?
I love it. Give it to me.
Okay.
I would love to.
Okay.
You guys give me whatever you want to ask me.
Okay.
So like I was saying, we talked about this before. So I was like, read my energy now. Now I can go and do a global reading for you, just of like this, blah, 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 blah. But I'm like, give me a question.
Okay.
Because give me something to really focus on.
Google.
That's where I can bring some information.
Okay.
Anything. Yeah. Anything.
Okay. Because I feel like, Frank and I have been talking a lot about like what's next for us kind of. And we feel excited about the idea of creating a documentary that covers some of this, a clairvoyaging documentary. And we're kind of like, is that like, that's what we're supposed to do, right? Or like, it's kind of where we feel like we're in the position to do that, but we just kind of need, I'm not asking this in a good way. What's that?
Yeah. guidance, confirmation, validation on
pretty
what
much.
you're getting into.
You mentioned human design
1,000%.
earlier, and like we are manifesting generators, so we know that we're supposed to respond, and we feel like this is the thing we should be responding to, but we're also like trying to make sure.
Do you know what's really great about that? Guess what I am? A projector.
Aha.
So I'm here to share the light.
Ooh,
right.
I feel the need there. My guides are saying pull a card for validation because that will be confirmed. So if the first thing I want to say to you is already around your auras, I see literally a consciousness bubble of ideas that works for both of you. So how you all work together and you're getting insight, downloads, pieces. So I'm already saying yes, yes, yes to this because it's both for both of you. You're both getting that hit. And now what we want to do so it's a yes. Now what you want to do is ask it to come down through into your reality so you can start channeling the ideas so that you remove any kind of blockages or stumbling points. Because it's already a yes for me.
What's that? What'd you get?
That's the Lover's card.
Ooh, hey.
So let me explain. Let's explain this exactly, because some people just look at imagery with tarot and just think, oh, it's lovers. Remember, I just said to you that you're under a bubble.
Yeah.
There's a consciousness where you're being led. What is this? The higher self.
Yeah, that's so
your
cool.
Guides. What is this? You're co-working together to make something happen and create something.
Oh my God.
And a 6 is very much a number of reciprocity, equality, balance, and a give and a take. So it's not just between the two of you. It's between your higher selves, your spirit guides, each other, and then the world. So this is a beautiful expression of the yes on your venture. I would say yes. And come back to me and I'll definitely give you a whole hour reading on the details.
That's so fun.
I'm like, yes, yes, yes. I feel like you're going to, there's so many wins in this situation for you guys on so many levels that it's just like passion project. Not only that, also the sort of, there's going to be things I think connected to bigger goals you have that about travel and connection and experiences and that it's going to keep growing. So the container itself is going to expand is what I'm seeing, because as your guides get you more comfortable with bridging the relationship between yourselves, each other, your intuition, your guides, moving things along. And so there's parts to the puzzle. So
I think Lauren and I always know that like whatever we're doing is always just going to be a doorway to the next thing that we're going to do. So
100%.
I think we've learned to like not hold on to things so tightly, but to like follow the fun.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And
that's it.
So that's a very fun card.
Thank you for that.
That's cool.
So cool.
Oh, yeah.
And something that something that when she pulled up that card and held it to me, I'm not super familiar with tarot. We do pull cards on occasion, but like when I see the Lover's card, I always think of how it's the opposite of the Devil card, where the chains are so like voluntarily worn.
Right.
Yes.
And I think just the concept of us like trying to break out of our self-imposed limitations is really rad.
Yeah.
1,000%.
There's been a lot of that lately.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And then energetically, one thing I would say is what I would love to see you guys do on an energetic level is to bring that. Remember I said gold energy, and you notice in there's a lot of yellow, which is similar. So bring it all, vision of that all the way down into your auric field. So you'll be able to, really engage with it. So it won't be so much just in your heads.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. I swear
that's
our
me.
heads are just
I know it. It's
full.
hard.
I told Frank like yesterday, I was trying to rest because we came home from a trip and I was trying to rest yesterday. And I was like, well, I rested, but also my brain was just like, ding, 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 ding. Like, should we create a nonprofit to like the funding and like, like it was just like, stop.
So one little key tip that you can do as you're starting this with if you're building that relationship with your spirit guides is to build your relationship for your business with your guides. And I learned this even a spiritual business class I took, where you say to your guides, I want to be part of the team for the business.
No.
And then what happens, it's a shift where all of a sudden, and then just kind of daily check in with them. You may not receive a huge download, but you're thanking them and connected. But because when you bring in your spirit team, it's a whole nother level of just things happening, curation, manifestation, healing, connections, people finding you,
Okay.
On and on and on. It just takes a whole nother level that where, like I was saying to you, you guys aren't going to even know where it's going to grow to. That's what they're telling.
That's
Okay.
fun.
Yeah.
How fun is that?
We want to be on the team.
I want to be on the team.
Yeah.
You're on the team.
And I know we're already like on the team as far as like
You're on the
an
team.
executor, but like I want to be in on the meetings sometimes just to hear. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you can say to them, what do I need to know today?
Oh yeah. That's a big one here. We do that.
That's our tarot.
That's our tarot question.
I love that.
We don't read it ourselves. We go to someone that we interviewed several months ago.
Dr. Elliot Adam.
Adam.
Yeah, we go to
his oracle.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, we do. He has like a one definition of each card. It's like 1 minute. So it's like, we feel like our spirit guides know that we're going to go to him to get the definition.
Gotta be simple. Gotta be clear.
And it's
gotta
so
be
clear and simple.
Love that. And you're already connected to Dr. Elliot. So that I love that.
Yeah. It feels like listening to a friend, you know, it's very fun.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
Thank you for that. That's so cool.
That is cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So so you have a course that someone, if like us dum-dums wanted to,
my God,
if one of us wanted to, or we both wanted to do like access the Akashic Records.
I have a couple of things. So first of all, I have a school, so I have a community and an online platform. So you can always tap in, be part of the community, and there's lots of yummy things in there. Now, digitally, I'm about to release. I've taught that class live 4 times, and I tend to be someone who very much, because I do so much energy work, I like to teach it live and in person. My guides are like, you can't do everything. You have to. So now I'm putting that should be ready by, I'd say, probably the end of November. So as per this thing, but there'll be a link. So it'll be how to read your own Akashic Records, how to work with your guides in there, do that process yourself.
Amazing.
And all the workbook, which we talked about with all those curated questions. To really get you started. If you run into snafus and you want some more like connection, you want to be able to say, is this real? That's when you probably want to either jump into the community so you can practice with people. So we got all that. It's very, I understand the process of it.
And then you also do private readings.
I do private readings and I do coaching, mentorship. I have a lot going on. So I have different courses I teach, certifications, and then I also do like coaching, which I really love, and readings. That's
amazing. You are lovely.
Well,
thank you. So are you guys.
Where can everybody find all those resources?
Yeah, so basically it's under my name, KeriKaas.com, everything you can possibly imagine. I'll make sure you guys get all the links. Also, you can always follow me on TikTok under Keri_the psychic. And then I'm on Instagram. All the social links are there. You know, I've got a podcast, YouTube channel. You know, I got all this stuff. So,
what's your podcast called?
It's called Soul to Earth.
I love it. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I love it. Just, it's really all about like what we just talked about, these fundamental tools that you can, you'll hear me talk about my experiences, but I'm really trying to talk to the people who are just starting on their journey. That's my point about it.
All right, so cool. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. This is so much fun.
I love you guys. I'm excited. Just let me know how I can support you. This is amazing. I really appreciate your time and taking time with me.
No, thank you.
We appreciate your time. Thank you for everything. You are so lovely. Like I said,
thank you. You guys are too.
It was great to meet you.
I just wish you nothing but the best. And thank you for reaching out.
I think we'll talk soon because I have so much more stuff I want to talk to you about.
Anything you need. I know. I had a feeling.
Yeah.
I just had that feeling.
Yes,
thank you guys so much.
Hear from us.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right, talk to you soon.
Bye, Keri.
Thank you.
Okay,
bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening. Visit www.clairvoyaging.com for show notes, merch, or just to say hi. If you'd like to support our journey, visit www.buymeacoffee.com/clairvoyaging. This has been a production of Wayfeather Media.